In our first round of panel discussion today, we will be focusing on the development of the requisite skills across government bodies for effective and efficacious rollout and implementation of BIM. With your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to all our esteemed panelists for this round. First, as I call upon your names, dear panelists, I would request you to come and join us on stage. First, we have with us Mr. Prakash Gaur, Chief Executive Officer, National Highway Logistics Management Limited. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Gaur. Next, we have Shri Shyama Prasad Roy, Secretary, Capacity Building Commission. Third, we have with us Mr. Adam Matthews, Head of Strategy and Engagement for the Digital Construction International DCI Program, Connected Places Catapult, UK. Next, we have Mr. R.S. Rao, Chief General Manager, Project for Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. Mr. R.S. Rao, do we have him with us? Sure. All right. Next we have with us Mr. Satyendra Prasad Gupta, Director, ERP, Central Public Works Department. And to moderate this session, may I request Mr. Shoubhik Ganguly, Senior Infrastructure Advisor, Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, Government of UK, to please do the honors. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, respected panelists, and thank you for joining this discussion. As we have heard a few talks, the first half of today, building information modeling is not a software, a technology, or just a platform. I'm a non-technical person, and for me, I understand it as a whole process or a whole project management approach. It can also be called a technology-enabled whole-of-life project design, planning, and management platform. In India, the conventional approach that is followed from identification of project to construction to operation maintenance, and finally its handover or termination is a mature process. All of the government system has followed this process for decades. And all the human resources that we have in our organizations are completely institutionalized on that process. But in our understanding, for integrating BIM in infrastructure construction and management will require a digital transformation, not only in terms of new technology tools, but also in terms of new mindsets, new ways of working. And therefore, one of the challenges that we are going to face in India is how do we transform our institutions to accommodate this digital transformation. So this panel is basically going to focus on what can be some of these approaches that we have already followed in some of our organization. I know that DMRC and Sir National Highway Logistics and National Highway Authority of India has used digital tools. So I would like to hear from all of you how you have tried to do that, how you intend to create this capacity within your organization, and what sort of support that Niti Aayog or other government agencies and us as development partners can provide to your institutions. So I'll first come to Shri Prakash Gaur, who is the Chief Executive Officer of National Highway Logistics Management Limited. Sir, I understand that I was talking to you over lunch and you said that since 2011 you have tried to implement digital tools in your flagship projects. What was your approach for rolling out these tools and what specifically did you do for building capacity within your organization, sir?
Good afternoon, everybody. So, as this organization, National Highway Logistics Management is concerned, we are just yet to cross our third birthday. We are less than a 3-year-old organization. So, we are in the stage of building system, processes, capacities, including the technologies. But as you asked a question, the previous project where we started way back in 2007 onwards, where one of the flagship project which now I think entire country knows, Gift City. So there we start planning in 2007, and I don't know how many people familiar at that time the concept of smart city, but we did the complete digital master plan in 2007, and in fact we engaged the British Telecom that time to do that completely technology master plan. An idea was of the technology master plan, of course, one is the infrastructure digital layer, another is this being the T word here, the tech city. This thing is that if you want to bring the fintech and the technology part is how the good services we built in that thing is. And one of the component was, and issue is not about implementing a particular application, monitoring software. As you rightly said, it's much more than that when you really start using it. The challenge which comes here is the complexity of the project, not only from the engineering and technicalities point of view. Sometimes we see, okay, we have a building, we have a power plant, or we have some other complex infrastructures. They are designing, transferring into that, conversion of 3Ds, bringing all the outputs, engage may be complicated. But it becomes much more complicated when you have a multiple stakeholder in one project. And if I give you example of gift and then I come to my current portfolio also, in fact in 20 years I am not seeing any challenge is different. The challenge is the same, the journey begins again. So there we as an authorities, we used to give the master plan approvals, we used to give our development plan approvals, we used to give building plan approvals, and we were also developing the infrastructure. So for developing infrastructure, we did our own technology digital master plan, but our challenge was that when you are building a very high-rise towers, as you might have seen in gift stories. So we are the first one who built in Gujarat that time 30 stories tower. And convincing a developer, because we are an authority, a third party is coming and doing this where you don't have even technology capacity in the market itself. In fact, I will not go far to the BIM, much before that, till that time, all building plan approvals, the architect fraternities will agree with me, till then were getting approved on the papers, stamp and sign, which are nothing doing. If we are looking at the technologies, we are looking at the future cities, that the approval process has to be first of transparent, simplified and known to everybody. So what we call is online building plan approval, English I think we call ODAS, online development approval systems. Yes. So in that, when we started doing that, it was so difficult for us that we have our own system ready, but the developer says we can't do it. Somehow we convince the developer says my architect cannot do it. When I asked the architect, I said, "Main kya karoon?" What do I do? Because my draftman doesn't draft that way. Because if you want to calculate the area online, it has to be closed polygon. And the draftman has used to one line of this layer and second line is in one entity itself, one component itself. You have multiple layers using by him. So you can't identify what the component is. You are talking about the BIM now and 15 years later. So when you ask the competencies and capabilities, you have to start up to that level. So what we do that time, we ask our technology partner, I can't change drawing so fast. Can you really quickly develop something which will convert compatible to your applications? And then we start developing that. So at least few drawings, initially we could approve that, what I get sense from them now. Now it's working very fine. They have improvised the version a lot. And And then we move to the beam parts. When he asked developer said, what do you want to do it? This is my building, I am developing, I am a third party developer. You know, authority has nothing to do with the BIM. I said, this city is not meant for that. I have developed the digital infrastructure starting from my WTP, STP, power substations, automatic waste collection, or whatever that plant is. From that plant till your building level is, it should be one line. And one line, meaning in one line in terms of design, in terms of components. So at the end of the day, I should be able to see up to the last point in one digital layer. So when you give me that, I'll imbibe in my systems and bring that. So first convincing them, then making a mandatory in natures, and then start. Now I come back to the current organization that I'm doing, which as I mentioned is just 2.5 year old again. And I want to give complete credit of the BIM to my friend Abhishek, who said, no sir, aapko karna hi hai ye to. This has to be done in this. And sitting in Niti, I really appreciate these are things we look from them, how to guide us. We do a multiple asset class in. Next, NHI, a much bigger organization of last 25 years, much larger. There also we are implementing these digital technologies. But we do a very small but multiple asset class and complex asset class. We are doing multimodal logistics park. The word itself is multi. You have multi-stakeholders. We have a railway, we have a highway, we have water, we have power, and we have a DBFOT, again PPP. So authority role is limited to provide the land, provide the railway connectivities, provide the water connectivity, power, road connectivities, and within the part he has to develop it. I need to again convince the same developers, so please give me the format in this format, then only I'll look at your drawings and I'll approve it. We are doing one more asset class which is much more complex, which is the ropeway system. We are doing currently a project and implementation in Banaras, which is just a 4 kilometer. 4 kilometers is small from the transportation point of view, but from ropeway point of view, it's a quite good length thing is, which is under implementation. There I am doing a hybrid MD model. Again, a kind of PPP. The developer is investing. He will be operating the project for next 15 years. I am responsible for 15-year operation maintenance. I am developing is, what do you want all that thing is? Because I know after 15 years, the asset will come back to me. And forget about after 15 years. Any eventuality happen, as an authority, I am responsible for that. I want to know what is happening in the system. And we talk about the roadway is completely electromechanical system. It has to be, what we call engineering, it has to be a shop drawing available for that. And on the top of it, you are developing a multi-level buildings there. This has to be done. So now let me add you that. Now we are doing few initial projects. There we start implementing. So I see a next 1.5 years time with same journey. I have to again convince people, bring the people on board, build my own teams, and next 2-3 years you will see it really flourishing and giving the advantage. I'm sure advantage you might have heard in the other panels, so I will not get into the details.
Thank you so much, sir. So, I mean, you did mention some very important points, that the whole supply chain, the whole ecosystem, and supply chain meaning contractors, your vendors, everybody should be on board for implementing this process. I'll put the same question to Shri Rao, Chief General Manager, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, sir. So you've started using BIM and other digital tech for project planning and monitoring. That's our understanding. And again, the same question, how have you gone about it? What was your approach? And specifically, how are you creating capacity within your organization for this digital transformation? Thank you.
Right. Thank you. At present, Delhi Metro is implementing its phase 4 of 65 kilometer and some Patna Metro 30 kilometer. Up to phase 3, Delhi Metro has constructed 393 kilometer network in Delhi NCR and 286 stations. So we were actually every time Delhi Metro delivered even before the dates basically. So we were very good at the project monitoring. But in phase 4, actually we wanted to implement this digital project monitoring. So as soon as the project phase 4 is sanctioned by the government, so actually we now decided to implement this multi-dimensional beam. So at present we are using up to 5D beam. So initially we started up to 3D beam. So that is actually we hired a detailed design consultant. So we is an expert in all the fields like our civil, E&M, track, SNT. And also that he is expert in this one BIM modeling. So we actually gave him the mandate of this creating the models only in 3D BIM. So he created all the actually that models in the 3D BIM, and 3D BIM is a actually cloud-based platform, and it has a facility basically, and all the experts can work simultaneously. Like civil, there is a folder system in 3D BIM, so that like civil can work in its folder, like E&M can work in its folder like that. Then all the actually these components can be federated together and can be seen. Like if it is a void act, then the entire void act civil, then you see the traction, then you see that signaling that the cables you can see. In stations also like civil, architectural finish, and even E&M, signaling and tag, you can see at the one go. So then when the model is given to us, then it is shared with our HODs, concerned head of the departments for various like civil, E&M or. So then they verified the design, they identified the clashes if any, then that clash detection is done. So that clash detection is, that the clashes are removed. So then that is the final digital model is created, which is a digital twin. Before going for the actual construction, so we have completely everything, every detail. What is the material to be used and what color used to be used, and all the things, right from the civil to the everything. So for that initially actually we took the help of some BIM experts in our organization. Then we gave training to all of our concerned, like all architects concerned and all other persons who are using the BIM in the DMRC. We gave the training to them. That is one thing. Second, that the fourth dimension of the BIM, that is the time management. For that actually we used Primavera. So when actually it is the phase 4 consists of the 3 corridors. So actually for any corridor for revenue operation date, when the train is put on the actually for the commercial purpose, so that is the important for us. So for that we monitor corridor wise. In every corridor actually it is have some 15 to 20 contract packages. Like suppose it is a 30-kilometer line, so it is some part is elevated, some part is underground, and it is a linear project. So normally we divide actually on the basis of, because that specialists are different from underground and elevated, and even the length of the corridors also we normally keep. Suppose it is elevated some 8 to 10 kilometer, and if it is underground some 5 to 7 kilometer, so that parallelly you can work. Then we have the contracts of E&M and all. So we created initially a digital platform that we call as the stamp. That is for the system for tracking and monitoring projects. So initially we created a Primavera schedule. That's we call it as the master Primavera schedule, where actually this, suppose it is a corridor and it is having some 15-20 contracts. So everything you see the work we created right from the tender preparation, then tender processing, and then the execution of the work. Even execution of the work also, it is divided into a key milestones. Like suppose it is a corridor of a 9 kilometer in a single contract. So that is divided into 3 sections. Like suppose they are called the access dates. So first 3 kilometer is made by civil, then it is handed over to the track, then it is handed over to the E&M, then it is handed over to the S&T. So the system is created like that. So the entire thing is in the Primavera scheduling. So that is the one thing. And similarly, actually, even for the payment also, we have created a digital payment platform, that is the vendor payment portal. So that is there. And third is like suppose to the digital platform, actually parallelly actually the work is to be executed by the contractor. So in every contract we have mandated all these requirements, our requirement, employer requirement. So the contractor has to, basically they are the design and build contracts. The contractor has to do the structural design. So when he receives the architectural models from the DMRC, so he will create the structural models only in 3D BIM only. Okay, that is the one thing, and he will use for the project monitoring the Primavera schedule. So accordingly, he will mobilize all the resources, software and people and everything. So that is what we kept in our contract platform. And in the stamp, actually, stamp is connected to this 3D BIM also, and this Primavera also, and our vendor payment portal also. So therefore, actually, that we are able to manage, and we have a mobile app also. Actually, that is for the updating of the progress from the site, basically. So we created many dashboards, and we created a role-based access control dashboards, like for the higher management, like that is for the directors and our chairperson, MD. And then for the at the engineers level, HOD level, that is for the monitoring. And then for this JE and AM level, who update the progress from the that is actually in the software. That everything is on real-time basis. Once one peer, for example, a peer is constructed, so immediately you can upload in the from the mobile app. You can upload immediately on that. That whosoever is monitoring that supervisory level, he will be immediately able to see on the dashboard. And even apart from that, actually that mobile updation, he can upload a photo also, and even checklist or an RFI if is there, that also even he can upload as a proof of that. So we have a dashboard for the monitoring. Now earlier that actually for that also we have trained all our project people, right from the junior engineer to our CPM level, in the Primavera also, in the stamp also. And then we created a guidelines, basically this manual, basically user manual for the stamp. So it is available in the our domain, the MRC domain. So regularly that training schedules and refresher courses will go on. Basically it is entirely on the capacity of the Delhi Metro only. So we are monitoring up to 5D beam very successfully.
Thank you so much, sir. So basically you added some more layers as you mentioned about the tools, but you also mentioned about the guidelines and the contracting specifications from your contractors. Sir, Mr. Gupta, you from the Central
I
Public...
want to add one more point.
Yes, sir.
Because this 5D beam is up to the project. So then we will escalate it to the 7D beam. That is for the asset management.
Okay, okay, sir. Mr. Gupta, I mean, again, what we're trying to understand through this panel here is what are the different approaches? I mean, we heard sir saying that as the authority, as the development authority of Gift City, he mandated digital drawings and all, and also in his contract. And we heard from Delhi Metro that through their own staff, through their own digital platforms, they're trying to do that. What is your organization trying to do in this digital transformation journey, and how are you ensuring that your human resources, that your existing teams are gearing up for this?
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. First, I'm from the Central Public Works Department. It's a 169-year-old organization under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. We have the offices across the country. We deal with all sorts of the construction project, building, office buildings, educational buildings, residential buildings, road, flyovers, somewhere jetties, roads in the hill areas. So we are doing the work across the country with the different offices located across the country. Till now, the present Parliament House construction has been constructed recently, and lots of the government buildings that has been constructed, and we are doing IITs has been constructed, lots of the infrastructure for the IITs, IMs, AIMs. So take the names of the government institution, everywhere we have the presence and we are doing the work for the government. As far as the digital transformation, digital part is concerned, we started our journey from the 2000 itself, where some personal information management system was developed for the managing the some HR parts of the activity. Subsequently, web-based project monitoring system was brought in force, and from 2008 onwards it is working. Now, subsequently, we have integrated, then we have started using the public finance management system to make the payments. So all our payments are being made digitally since 2017. Subsequently, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has advised us, given the direction to digitalize all our processes in the 2017 itself, and thereafter we started this journey. From 2020, we engaged one of the system integrator to implement the entire ERP system, wherein we are intending to digitalize all our processes, including automation, wherein the rule-based system will be there. So there are close to 206 processes and close to 3,000 sub-processes are there. So entire working of the CPWD is being intended to be done through the ERP system. And SAP is our foundational applications on which we are basing, and over and above lots of the applications are being developed. Now, as far as BIM part is concerned, we have got developed in-house, not in-house, means through the agency itself, but it is being owned by us, the collaboration platform, which is for the BIM consists of too many things. People is there, processes are there. So processes are already, we are digitalizing through the ERP system, all our processes. Lots of the system has been rolled out. Collaboration platform has been rolled out 1.5 years back, wherein all the stakeholders, without the need of any license, they can upload the 3D models. They can collaborate with each other. The folder system that Mr. Rao has just such a same type of system we have adopted. So multiple spaces can be created by the group of the stakeholders. They can collaborate with each other on the platform. It is a completely web-based. Sitting at their own location, they can collaborate without need of any licenses. What we had left was the authoring part, because we were at that time of the impression that multiple people, multiple stakeholders, because it's not the centralized one, like the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, like the NCRTC, they are having the linear projects. Limited number of the contractors are there. It can be managed centrally. In the case of the CPWD, it is not the case. We are having the offices, more than 700 offices across the country. So the contractors will be different, consultants will be different, they may be using different type of their authoring software. So we have left this part to them. Okay, let them use the 3D authoring software at their own choice, upload it, and once they will upload it, everything will be there. All the stakeholders will be there, architects will be there, engineers, contractors, clients, even we have onboarded the clients on our platform. So they can collaborate with each other, simply an internet connection and web browser available with them, and of course they will be required to have the access on our platform. So this is what has been done so far. We have started the online measurements. Online measurements, it is directly coming from the agreement, data is coming from the agreement, basis the agreement. Each contractor is supposed to submit the measurements, and our people will approve, and basis the approval of verification of the measurements, payments we are making it through the PFMS. As far as the BIM part is concerned, this year itself, CPWD had constituted a committee for the faster adoption of the BIM in our organization. That committee has deliberated what is to be done, what is not to be done. Tomorrow in the presentation, I'll deliberate in the detail, I'll tell about all these things in details. So we have already gone ahead with, even the RFP that we have prepared in 2019 itself, all these components are there. So in the morning presentation, we came to know last 3 years something Niti Ayog was suggesting. So we have started way back earlier and on our own. So again, we have finalized our draft guideline for the faster adoption of the BIM in our own department. It's not only the CPWD employee, it is for the contractor, it is for the architect, it is for the consultants, everybody. And there are a general condition of the contract. Those who are aware about the CPWD, there are a GCC we publish every year. So we have incorporated the provision for adoption of the BIM in the general condition of the contract itself. CPWD works manual are there, where we have mandated the model need to be uploaded. If at all the 2D drawings are 2D drawings are required, they need to be generated from the 3D model itself. So there are other aspects. We are in the process of, additionally, we are continuously providing the training to our contractor as well as our own departmental user continuously as the collaboration platform. And recently, we have engaged, we have started providing the training on the BIM authoring part also.
Okay.
So all these things are happening, continuously happening. Since we have made provision in our general condition of contract to start using the BIM, so there is no escape route. Our contractor, our consultants will be mandated to develop the models, use it, and we are in the process of implementing another fourth and fifth dimension. Fifth dimension part, cost estimation is there. On our collaboration platform, estimation tool is already ready. We have integrated with our DSR. Delhi schedule of rates are there. In CPWD publish every now and then. Delhi schedule of rates is an age-old practice for us. So analysis of rate, everything we have integrated with each other.
Thank you, sir. And I mean, one message I wanted to also share with Niti Aayog was that every department is trying to follow its own approach and doing some innovations. There might be a need for standardization or having a repository of these innovations so that every department doesn't have to start from scratch. Gupta sir just mentioned about the general conditions of contract. That might be very useful if it's already integrating BIM to be distributed to other departments which can take guidance from there. That brings me to Mr. Roy, who's the secretary.
I'll interject in between. The general conditions, CPWD general conditions of the contracts are being used not only by the CPWD, but lots of the public work department, state public work departments and other construction organizations. So our books are not being used, limited by the CPWD. Everybody follows CPWD.
Absolutely.
Works manual follows CPWD specification, people follow it. So once we have started, I hope it will percolate to the other construction organization of the central government as well as the state government.
Absolutely, sir. Thanks. So, Mr. Roy, you're from the Capacity Building Commission, and I know that Capacity Building Commission in the last few years has tried to assess the capacity gaps of different ministries and different options. And then you have also designed capacity building plans for those ministries and departments. And as we have heard from different departments, that they have their own individual approaches for capacity generating. And specifically, I want to stress on internal capacity and not the capacity that we might hire from outside in the initial years, because I mean, there are cases that we become too dependent on external help, consultants and software suppliers. But we don't want to do that. We want to create institutional capacity within the government. So what are some of the ideas that in your mind that something like this, a digital transformation that's just not a technology or a software, but a whole process change, how do you think Capacity Building Commission can collaborate with other departments and ministries to sort of institutionalize this knowledge?
Thank you. We've been here for last 2 years. We came in existence on 1st of April 2021. So we've been doing things and learning as the journey progresses. While you said that we should learn to rely on ourselves.
Yes.
To do that, probably we needed some external help, and we used them, our consultants,
Yes.
to learn things, go across ministries to understand what are the capacity gaps and how do we fulfill them. But some things we have developed ourselves, like when we started off, we realized that there are two sides to this story. One is the demand side and one is the supply side. We tried understanding what is the supply side and how is that affecting the demand, or is it really supplying what is being demanded? So we came across the CSTIs, the Central Services Training Institutes, and we found that none of them had been talking to each other for the past 70 years. So in 21, October, we first met and we brought all them together and start talking. Slowly and slowly, we started realizing that the training institutes need to supply some standard material to the trainees who are being inducted into the civil services. Some kind of learning portal needs to be built. So we developed a portal called the National Civil Services Training Accreditation Portal. And here the institutes go and accredit, and then we assess them on 8 pillars like the faculty development, e-learning, governance, and all these places. When we assess them, we also try to improve their quality. Now, while we are doing this, we are also asking them to supply us the demand side courses which are coming up, which we have realized that have come up across different ministries through the ACBPs. The annual capacity building plans that we undertook in different ministries, we spoke to every level of officer, and we found that there are many roles which there are domain trainings, there are behavioral trainings, there are the functional trainings. Most of the general trainings are functional and behavioral, but at a higher level, we need the domain trainings, and that have to come from the institutes, or we buy it from the outside market. In this regard, when we talk about BIM and all that, we realize one thing, that there are 3 A's to this entire story. First is creating an awareness of this. How do you do this? Probably you run some training programs or some something which people are aware that this is something which is happening on a large scale. And this is the need of the hour. Once an awareness is created, then you also talk about how do you adapt it? Or how do you, the first thing, awareness, and then adapting will be by learning things. Okay. We are trying to talking to agencies to create courses which can address what CPWD is doing or our NHUI is doing. At levels, what do they know and how do we supply this material so that they can sit at one place, learn the things, and start performing on the job. That information is available to them. The third thing that we are looking is, how do you make it, can these things be made mandatory? Can we ask for some standards for this industry? And can that be made mandatory, like using the public policy? Can we say that all procurements would have to mandate that BIM comes into picture and this is what is required? We set up a standard. So this is what we are trying to think about it at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So, I mean, again, there are, you mentioned about supply and demand, and you also spoke about awareness and adaptation. So it's absolutely real. I mean, that's what Niti Aayog and us have been trying to do. First, to create that awareness, why BIM, and now we are at the stage on how BIM can be implemented. And these are 2 different levels of capacity building that, as you rightly mentioned. I want to come to you, Adam, and because, one, you've gone through this journey since 2011 when the first construction policy came out in UK. And from then it was, the BIM mandate was implemented in a phased manner. How did the capacity keep pace? How did the capacity in the government departments, the people who were procuring contractors, people who were monitoring projects, how did they keep pace with the increasing maturity of the BIM levels?
I'm going to start, first of all, with the mistake we made, I think, which would be interesting because we don't often talk about things that we didn't do well. And I think, first of all, we approached it as a BIM mandate. And in reality, it wasn't about BIM and it wasn't a mandate. It was much more about information management, first of all. And secondly, it was much more about a coalition of the willing, we described it as this, a coalition of the willing, meaning that you need to win over the support of people, first of all. You can't really, you can tell people to go away and do something, but there's a very good chance that they won't either want to do it or they'll find ways not to do it, or they won't do it particularly well. So it was very much for us about creating awareness, just as Mr. Roy said, creating awareness, sensitizing these different government departments, first of all. I'd like to start, though, just very quickly, if I can, to say what we did initially is approach it as a solution that was ready-made that could be adopted by the department. Okay. We would arrive on the door, knock on the door, and we would say, we've got this great idea, you're going to love this. And then we would sort of go in, we can help you with it. And of course, they've got a ton of issues and change management issues themselves, let alone what we're providing to them. So we realized that approach didn't work. Solution first doesn't really work. And Mr. Roy just actually said what I was going to comment, which is that we then began to realize it needs to start off with why. So we developed a core team of about 7 people, which then worked across 8 of the ministries, 8 of our central procurement agencies, and worked out there's a process here for the change management aspect. First of all, let's start with why. Who are you? Who are we? What are some of your challenges? And then try to connect their challenges with our potential solution. Information management is the term that we preferred. So we developed this idea that we could work with them as a partner to them through that whole change process. We could understand their process, their internal process. Then we could understand how we could benefit their process. Then we could understand what changes needed to occur to their process. Standardization of the process was very important. And a key part of that was the adoption of ISO 19650. It was called something before that when it was a British standard, which allowed then repeatability. We very much appreciate that construction is in some sense a one-off process on site. It's lots of one-off bespoke activities, but in reality the process of information management can be very much standardized. So we evolved this idea that actually we could sensitize and contextualize the change much closer to the demands of the public procurer, work through public procurement changes that needed to occur. But they were always connecting back up to the root cause of why. What is it that's helpful to that particular public procurement? Because they're all going to have very different needs. So contextualization. And then finally, just the last quick word on it, I would say about projects. Training in its own right, I'm sure Mr. Roy would agree, it is helpful, but it needs to be applied. You don't get benefits from training alone. You get benefits from that training developing into knowledge, and that knowledge being applied into the job, and then that new way of working will develop the value you're looking to achieve. And that's what we focused on, is understanding the application of the training at the same time as you're thinking about the training. It's a strategy. It's the key thing. Have a strategy for how to deploy it into projects and create successful projects.
Thanks, Adam. And I do agree.
Can I ask one question?
Sir, we'll have a chance to ask questions, sir. So, I mean, a really great hearing from all of us. And one thing which comes out is a need, not for classroom training, but as Adam mentioned, that some sort of mentoring or some sort of change management guidance, some sort of change management partner being embedded in the organization and working through the whole process. And that role maybe can be standardized. That whole change management process can be standardized, and we can discuss about which organization can anchor that change management part of it, which can also help in standardization of the BIM frameworks across organization and knowledge. And as I was emphasizing, I mean, we just don't want us to be overly dependent on external experts. We want to retain that knowledge, have that institutional memory, and institutionalize that within all our processes. And just like the conventional way, the way that we used to do project for decades and decades, that has been matured and our engineers and people who work in these departments can rattle off terms and conditions in their sleep, the same level of institutionalization will need to come for the BIM aspect also. And we heard different aspects from here. So we just have about 3 minutes left for our slot. Sir, if you can just quickly answer your question, and we can answer it right now, or we can take it at the coffee break.
Let me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Myself, Jitendra Anand from NIUA. So I just want to understand if you have some examples in Europe or any of the country that has implemented this concept on the projects relating with integrated waste management.
Sir, I think, none of us are specifically from waste management, but I'd like to help you. I'll talk to you during the break, and maybe we can chat with Adam to find some examples.
And one more comment, is it possible?
Yes, sir, please.
Just not a question, it's a comment probably, or it's a conclusion I was hearing all the, deliberations from the CPWD, the GIFT City, or Delhi Metro.
Yes, sir.
One common thing I was seeing that they have all mandated. That is internally. That is one. And capacity building they have done within themselves with whatever they understand. But now the trains are already started running. That means now the central agencies and policy building making body has to see that they are all standardized, that I don't know how they can catch up to the train and then make this. This is what is the comment I wanted to put.
No, sir, absolutely valid. And that's why I said I was looking at Abhishek, that somebody has to play that anchor role of converging all the information skills and approaches that are already present, already being implemented in government departments. And maybe we can discuss if Niti Aayog is playing that job. But thank you so much for the panelists. It was a really interesting discussions to hear from you the different aspects on different approaches on how this is being implemented and how capacity can be created. I hope you will stay here for the rest of the workshop and also share your experience in other sessions. Thank you so much.
I have one suggestion to the Niti Aayog, if they can do it. In the procurement policy that are being issued from the Ministry of Finance, if the BIM model can be integral part of the RFP documents or NIT documents, then that will help. Second part is, one concern comes approval from the local bodies. So if it be possible, I don't know whether Niti Aayog can advise them or not, the approval process that they adopt, they should accept the BIM model in place of the 2D drawings that they used to get it. So at least people will be forced to adopt the BIM model faster. Vis-a-vis the soft approach that we are adopting continuously. So these two are the suggestions. Ministry of Finance can be roped in, and BIM models should be made mandatory part of this, and the contractors, whoever is quoting either through the EPC mode, EPC or the item rate contract, percentage rate contract, they should quote basis the models made integral part of the RP documents. Okay, two things are there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ganguly, and thank you to all our esteemed panelists. I would just request you to be on stage with us a little longer. It was indeed a pleasure listening to all the valuable opinions, viewpoints, and outlook of each of you. And we are very confident that the perspectives shared on this platform today by these enlightened individuals will go a long way in helping build better policies and framework for the industry going forward. And now may I request Ms. Elizabeth Atwell, Head of Infrastructure and Urban Development from British High Commission, to hand over the mementos. First, to our moderator, Mr. Ganguly. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our entire panel. All right. Next, we have Shri Shyama Prasad Roy, Secretary, Capacity Building Commission. Mr. Adam Matthews, Head of Strategy and Engagement for the Digital Construction International Program, Connected Places, Catapult, UK. Mr. R.S. Rao, Chief General Manager, Project Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. And finally, Mr. Satyendra Prasad Gupta, Director, ERP, Central Public Works Department. Thank you so much. We'll just take a minute longer for a group photograph of all our panelists.